beast! Ah!
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Not the Bees, the Nicolas Cage filmography podcast. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Megs.
And this week we watched 2025's The Carpenter's Son. It's an hour and a half long. It only has 31% on Rotten Tomatoes. So let's just go ahead and dive on in. We open on a woman giving birth. Once the baby is born, the father, a carpenter, says they need to leave. Someone is coming to take the baby. On the road, they are stopped at a large fire by soldiers who are putting infants from mother's arms and throwing them into a fire. The mother and the carpenter are able to keep the baby hidden and allowed to pass. The family wanders the desert for years as outcasts, trying to hide their son's power. The carpenter prays daily to protect his son as they wander and avoid strange-looking people that may be demons. One day they stop at a town looking for work, and the carpenter is commissioned to repair a wooden idol for a temple. Everyone in town stares at the boy, who is at this point about 15 years old. A woman in town remarks to his mother that he does not look like her. The woman has a daughter about the boy's age who is voiceless. Her name is Lilith. The three settle into a little rundown home they are afforded while the carpenter works. He has several rituals to keep evil at bay or alert them if it's near, like chicken footprints in the dirt of a doorway. The boy seems to be a typical teenager who doesn't understand, and the mother is quiet and unassuming about her husband's activities and endless praying. She knows it is to keep them safe from Satan. There are strange whispers in the night, and the boy dreams of being crucified while his mother wails beneath him. The boy goes to help at the town school. They are taught scripture. There's a strange girl hanging around with thin scars all over her face and body. She says she has no father and wants the boy to play. She takes him to see a leper. She makes him play chicken with touching the sick man, and when the boy tries, the girl pushes him into the leper, and all of the kids that see it run away, sounding the alarm that he has touched the unclean. The carpenter aggressively washes him in the river while his voiceover contemplates where this boy came from, if he even is their son. The boy dreams again that night of a dead body under a burial shroud gasping for air. The carpenter wakes him as he is sleeping outside in a shed after the leper and forces him to pray before going back to the house. The boy is rocking back and forth when a thumping sound comes from outside. He ventures out and sees nothing, but hears brief screaming. After returning to the shed, he is startled by the leper who snuck in. He's partially healed and begs the boy to touch him, calling him divine. The boy tries to get him to leave, but there's another leper there begging to be touched as well. There's a small, desperate struggle, but the boy is able to get them to leave. In the morning, a dead sheep is left in front of their door as an offering when the carpenter steps out. He tells the mother later as he's washing her feet and says it's not safe there. He says the boy is unclean, always covered in filth. The mother says he cannot learn or set down roots if the carpenter only offers punishment. Meanwhile, in the background, the boy kills and then resurrects a locust. Next, it's night, and we see a leper colony where the leper the boy healed is saying the boy is divine over and over again, while the strange girl with the thin scars watches on. She appears to communicate with our healed leper telepathically, making him to eat some piece of fruit he found. The next morning, the boy helps the carpenter about town, and on the way back, a crowd has been drawn to a ditch where we see the body of the healed leper, dead with his eyes open and his tongue black and swollen, sticking out of his mouth, but the leprosy is still gone. As the carpenter haggles with someone about building shelves, the strange girl approaches the boy with a wooden snake, wanting him to play, but he says no because she pushed him, and games with the Gentiles are forbidden. The girl calls the boy's father his oppressor and tries to give the boy the snake to keep as a secret, but he won't take it, and she says she knows who can free him and to find her among the sick, just as the carpenter turns to tell the boy to come. The girl disappears behind a tree. The carpenter's voiceover prays that he is losing his faith and asks how long until he can see the light again. In the night, someone pulls the girl Lilith from her bed and drags her by the ankles as she tries to scream. The next day, the carpenter is carving the idol that was requested. Lilith walks through the town looking unwell before choking on something black, falling to the ground and convulsing. The women near her scream for help. We see there is something in Lilith's throat before she appears to calm and goes to hug her mother, but then bites into her cheek and rips the flesh away. Lilith is pulled away by several men while her mother screams, "It was the boy that did this." At their home, the carpenter demands to know if the boy went to Lilith's house, but he says no. The carpenter doesn't believe him and drags him to the shed. The wooden snake is there, and he demands to know where the boy got it and tells him to pray. The boy refuses and says he will leave with his mother. The carpenter says she may leave, but he will set the boy to wild and he will wander on his own and succumb. He's only alive because the carpenter protects them. He tells the mother they must leave, and she agrees. They will go after he finishes his work. She says the boy is innocent. She knows because of their faith, because they know who he is, their savior. They must make sure he does what he needs to do. Hearing all of this, the boy wanders off to find the strange girl. She's playing with rotted food and scorpions. She wants to show him something. She takes him to see a crucifixion staging ground. Several people are already nailed up and others are chained to various areas. They are all accused of evil deeds. She talks about how we are all made of the same things, but some of us turn bad and some turn good. That we're all just trying to understand. The boy says he will understand when he reaches Golgotha. He says he can feel the pain of the people below him. He can feel the girl's pain too. He then says he needs to return to his father, but she tells him that the carpenter is not his father. The boy asks who she is. She says she knows who she is, and she's been searching for him for so long. She swears as he storms off that she is telling the truth. At home, the boy tells the mother they should leave. He can protect her. She says they will leave once the work is done and as his father wishes. The boy tells her that a child told him about his parentage, a child that lives among the sick. He asks again, and the mother tells him that the carpenter is his dad, but the boy looks at her face and calls her a liar. Back at the crucifixion area, the boy approaches Lilith, who's been strung up for sorcery. The boy tells her to speak, and when she throws her head back, there is a huge wound over her throat. Undeterred, the boy demands again that she speak and give her name. Lilith says something distorted in an unknown language, and then asks if he's come to kill them. Then in a normal voice, she asks if he can kill her and starts to sob. She says if he can't kill her, then leave. The boy goes home but finds the wooden snake his father threw away in his room. He then goes outside and throws it, but when he turns around to go back into the shed, he sees chicken footprints in the dust of the threshold. Back at the school, he's asked to read from a scroll, but when it goes bad, the teacher closes the scroll and forces him to read from memory. When he can't do it, the teacher calls him a liar. He doesn't know the words. The boy says he knows more than these words. Next, the teacher is dragging the boy to the carpenter and says he will not teach him. When the carpenter asks what the boy has said, the boy says he told the man how long he would live. The carpenter next forces his son to recite words to him while he works, since he cannot go to school. The boy recites as he stares into the face of the idol the carpenter is carving, causing it to fall over and break. The carpenter tells him to get out and to go be a man alone. Back in town somewhere, the strange girl has murdered a man with a rock, and then when a woman demands to know what she did, the girl breaks the woman's wrist open. At the crucifixion site, the boy is returned to Lilith. We can see something moving under her skin in her chest. The boy reaches into her mouth and removes a snake from her throat before releasing her from her chains. Her mother lies dead in the ground in front of them. The boy tells her she needs to leave. It's not safe here. She says she will tell the world about him and runs away. The remaining people at the site stop and stare at him while creepy whispers sound. The boy stands tall and stares them down and proclaims they will not judge. Only he will judge. At the carpenter's house, the man who commissioned the idol arrives and tells him to leave. His son is a conjurer. The villagers will kill him. The boy has arrived back at home. His mother asks him what he did, but before he can answer, the carpenter storms in and throws him out, calling him a demon. The mother says he's always doubted, even before the boy was born. He accuses her of cheating, and they have a fight. The carpenter asks how he can be good if he sins. The mother tries to leave, but he won't let her. She admonishes him in his faithlessness and accuses him of wanting to let the baby be killed. He says things are coming and leaves to find the boy in the woods. But there are other things in the woods with him, people that seem to be possessed. He finds the boy and tries to get him to come with him, but then a snake climbs into his robe and bites him. The boy approaches and asks quietly who his father is. The carpenter tells him he is the son of God. The boy considers a moment, then reaches out and heals the carpenter's snake bite before turning and walking away. The mother is gathering her belongings when she hears voices. The villagers are coming with torches and someone knocks her out. The boy is discovered by a kid from the school and runs to alert the others. The carpenter makes it home and finds the mother on the floor. He beats down an attacker and then puts her on a donkey to leave. The boy goes to the leper camp, where everyone is dead except the strange girl. She tells him that now that he knows the truth, she'll take him to his father. In the desert under a blood red sky at night, the carpenter prays. When the mother comes to, she demands to know where her son is. The carpenter says he ran away because someone told him the truth, but he will find him and leaves. The strange girl tells the boy his family hates him now, but there is freedom in knowledge. The boy admits he killed the schoolboy that saw him on the way here. The girl says he freed the kid. She freed many people from this world, which she calls a cage. The boy asks about his father. She says she knew him. She was a beautiful thing, and he shunned her because he didn't want to be anyone's equal. So he built a palace for her with purity and order. He asks who she is, and she says she is the adversary. She makes him look at the shadow and says it is a passage. He looks and sees writhing bodies, and she asks what she is. He says she's evil. She asks why she's here, and he says to torment him, and she says yes. She wants him to say her name, and the boy does. Satan. As the carpenter searches for the boy, he comes across possessed people, and one of them attacks. At the same instant, the boy falls to his knees at a pond by the shadow, and his mother falls to her knees under the red sky. Then the boy and the girl come across the carpenter unconscious. The girl wants to humiliate him, but the boy says to leave. She doesn't understand. He lied to the boy. He calls her cruel. She tells him to inspire fear and gain allegiance and to kill the carpenter. She'll tell him all he wants to know if he does, but the boy refuses. The girl stabs the carpenter in the gut, and then her and the boy scuffle. She hits him, and it appears his mother felt the blow. While the boy is out, the girl begins to pull the snake out of her and put it into the carpenter, but the boy stops her and rips the snake away from her. She gets the upper hand again and tries to drown him after screaming to God that the boy does not love him. The boy gets free and plunges his thumbs into her eyes. Before he kills her, the carpenter yells out, "Yeshua, spare the beast." When the boy moves back to the carpenter, he tells the boy that these creatures are meant to tempt him. The boy must forgive it, then tells him to let him go, let him die. As the carpenter starts to fade, a ray of light illuminates him and he dies. A halo appears around the carpenter's head. As the light of dawn reaches the desert, the mother lifts her head, sobbing into the light. The boy walks back to the strange girl, whose eyes are intact and staring at the boy. He kneels and hugs her to him tightly as she tells him he will die for miserable people and will not be thanked, and they are the same. The boy walks away, leaving her sobbing. The mother's wounds heal as the boy reaches her in the desert. They share a glance before he turns and begins walking, and she follows. The end. Megan, that was a very long description, but what did you think of this movie?
It was. There was just kind of a lot of stuff that happened, and I wanted to make sure that I caught all of it because it was all kind of it wasn't out of sync, but I think this movie wants to be an art film.
This movie is absolutely an art film.
It's not. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's terrible either. I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting take. It's also, based on a non-canonical book that's not in the Bible, obviously, that sort of goes through the young periods of Jesus's life. It's an interesting take. It's an interesting story. I don't hate it. I don't think it's very good. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I love the books of the Apocrypha, and I thought it was very interesting. I didn't think it was a good film, but I thought it was a good story.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where I am. I don't think it was a very good movie.
Yeah. It's weird it's linear, but it's not. Nobody
Yeah.
has a name
Except Lilith for some
except
reason.
Lilith. She's the only named character in the entire film. This movie is shot way too dark. Like,
Yeah,
I had
agree.
to go, like, halfway through it and change the settings on my TV
Yeah,
to
same.
fucking see it properly. The CGI snakes are awful.
Agree. 100%.
Just awful.
100%. They look like wood.
Yeah.
They look only slightly more realistic than the snake toy that the girl tried to hand him.
But having said all of that, I was shocked when in the first 5 minutes they literally throw a baby in the fire.
Yeah. And I was honestly expecting the rest of the movie to follow that vein.
It immediately grabbed my rapt attention.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And I want to call out the girl that plays the stranger is fantastic.
Phenomenal.
She is fantastic.
Absolutely amazing. Oh my god, like her emotion, Jesus Christ. It felt like she was an actually possessed human being. It felt like she was the adversary.
She was extremely realistic. She was extremely grounded. Her emotions are she was great. She was just great.
Yeah.
I thought Nick Cage gave an interesting performance. He has more lifting to do in this film than anyone else. He has more lines, he has more action. He is the center of the piece, even though it's not about him.
Yes. Agree. 100%.
I thought as far as art house films go, it was different. I hadn't seen anything like it.
Yeah, it's
It was
it's very
unique.
different. It is a unique film. I mean, I won't even really say that the writing is bad. It's just kind of like understated. I think for me, honestly, it's the directing. It doesn't feel very in sync with itself. It's very all over the place.
That is very true.
The continuity, not that there are plot holes, it's just like when he says, "I'll know when I reach Golgotha," that's the first time that word is spoken, and we're in the third act.
Yeah.
Like, there's context that's just missing. And I don't know if that was an editing room decision or if it just plumb wasn't a part of the script. So, like, there were instances like that were, like, slightly confusing.
There are also, like, things that add to the confusion. Like, nobody has a name. Why can't you just say this is Joseph, Mary, and Jesus?
Right.
Why is it so coy about the whole fucking thing?
Right.
The carpenter, the son, the mother.
Right. And then the other part of it for me was, like, I'm fine with it only being focused on this one incident in this one town that took place over, like, a couple of weeks or whatever. Like, that's totally fine. The bit at the beginning, right after he's born, and they get through that checkpoint with the Romans, and their baby's hidden, he's safe. We immediately jump 15 years. We're in the desert, and we just see random people in very tattered clothing that are far too white to live in this region of the world, just standing and staring in a very, like, I don't know, like, methed out kind of way. Like, they look like they're tweaking on something. And, like, I understand that, like, these are meant to, like, represent, like, the demons that are following them, that are hounding them because, you know, this is the Son of God or whatever. But we don't really look at that at all, other than it just being a cosmetic feature of the world that we live in. It's, I don't know. Why are we even in the desert? Because it lasted for like 5 or 10 minutes where it's really just a voiceover. They don't interact with any characters. There's no conflict that arises. They're just kind of wandering for like 5 or 10 minutes while the Carpenter's voiceover goes and tells a little bit of backstory, but really it's just they've been wandering because he's burdened with this protection, and also not happy about it. Not grateful. Not grateful. Not grateful. If anything, blasphemous.
Yeah, he sees the light very early in the film, and then spends the rest of the film, and it's insinuated that, like, he sees the light right after the baby is born, and
Mhm.
then it is insinuated that he has not seen the light since then, which
Yeah.
is
And he is
why
mad.
when he has his argument with the mother, and she's accusing him, like, you always thought I was a liar even before the child was born, and he's yelling back
Yeah.
about, like, have I lain with an unclean woman all of this time? When do I get to see, how long do I have to go before I see another
Yeah.
sign? So it's insinuated, but it's not spoken, it's not clear.
Yeah.
It's
But there's definitely like an
muddled.
underlying, like, he hates this kid. Like, that's my impression. My impression through the film is that he believes a thing, that this kid is not his, and for reasons, right? For reasons. But you knew that going in,
Yeah.
right? You knew that going in. And you still made the deal anyways. So, like, you either, like, expected something for doing this thing, or you did it because you were a good dude. And, like, the way that he's portrayed is, like, you did this for something. You did this for wish fulfillment. This is a you problem. Because he treats the boy horribly
Yeah.
through the vast majority of it. And we don't even really know why until the leper happens. And we're like, oh, okay, so he's not, like, we obviously going and we know that this is supposed to be Jesus, but, like, and the interesting part of this for me is the fact that we're looking at it through the lens of before he ever got a handle on his powers, how would people have perceived them?
Right.
And also, how would they have ended up working in a realistic setting where he laid hands on someone?
There are books of the Apocrypha that go into that talk about Jesus' childhood and his young adolescence and his young adulthood.
Yeah.
They just didn't make it into the canonical King James version of the Bible.
Right. And this one is based on, like, the infancy of Thomas, or by Thomas, or
Yeah.
something like that. So
Yeah.
this is not part of it. And honestly, I don't really know why. Like, I feel like there must have been a situation where, like, most of these books written about, like, his young youthful days must have been like he was just like an asshole kid, which would track. Like, teenagers are teenagers, man.
You're not far off. But we would need a theologian
Yeah.
to really get into why
We would,
certain
and
books
we're
were
not
left
going
out.
to.
So what would you rate this movie?
I don't know. I've been thinking about this actually the last day because I watched it yesterday, and, like, I don't know. Like, I'm not upset with it. I'm not happy with it. This was not an easy watch though, so, like, it was like an investment of time. I feel like I would be, like, inclined to give it, like, a C if I'm being generous.
I think a C is appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you
give
the
Cage?
Yeah, I beat you
Jinx.
to it. What would you give Cage?
Honestly, I don't really feel anything about his character. I feel like this is probably the most pedestrian character I've ever seen him play. He's just an asshole dad and doesn't realize the error of his ways until he's lost his kid. And I feel like that's not unique. That's rather ubiquitous when it comes to films, especially where children are involved. So it wasn't, for me, I don't know. It didn't, I feel like you could have picked any person to have played that role and it would have been the same for me.
I disagree because I feel like he does all of the heavy lifting in this film.
I agree with you on that part, but I think that's largely due to the writing and the lack of talent in the cast. I mean, he's the only real veteran in this film, period, dot.
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't think that, I don't, like, a movie is a team, right? We're looking at his performance. And I don't think it's fair. I don't know. You feel how you want to feel. To me, the way that I see it is that I don't, even though he absolutely did the heavy lifting, I think that's just because of his experience. I don't think that there's anything special that he did with his performance. And again, I feel like it was very pedestrian. I feel like you could have put any man in his age range, probably someone that isn't as white as him, preferably, in that role, would have done just as well as he did.
So what letter grade would you give him?
I don't know. I mean, for me, like, it's I don't know. I don't really know if I can give him a fair, because it wasn't a bad performance. You know, it maybe just a C. I don't know. It wasn't a bad performance, but it wasn't a good performance either. It wasn't For me, it wasn't a Cage performance. There was something that was lacking.
Well, there you have it, folks. It's a C score on an interesting art house film with a C+ Cage score. That's going to do it for us this week. If you've been following along, thank you. We appreciate you so much. You can find us in all of your podcasting apps, including YouTube. We are on Instagram at Not the Bees. We are on Patreon at Not the Bees Pod if you feel generous and want to kick us a few bucks. Otherwise, we'll catch you next week. I've been Elizabeth.
And I've been Megs.
Adios.